this meeting today. The water and mirror is the theme of this, and as we progress today in this program, there will be a lot of clarity as to what does it mean and why we are here, and a lot of ideas we hope that will unfold here. So, to begin with, I would like to invite on the stage Gopal Gulsar and Reena ji, Siddharth ji, Dhananjay ji, Anish ji. Please come on the dais. Come. There is a small ritual here. Come.
स्वागत करें बाद में
करण जी,
ठीक है ना रहिए आप लोग
So I request the honorable guest on the dais to please begin with our traditional offerings to our ideas, the Buddha, Narayana Guru, and Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So I request all the guests to please come forward and lighten the candle. Some flowers. And this is a very special day, so there is a small ritual. All of them will put some water in the glass bowl here to signify the occasion. This is a water offering today. Water. Yeah. So you can treat it as an official inauguration of the today's meeting. So before I formally welcome our guest, I would like to request Professor Jagdish Venzi. I request you to welcome Gopal Guru Sahab.
No.
Sir, you can keep sitting.
This is all right.
I request Suhas. Suhas, please welcome Gira sir. And of course to welcome our Anish brother. And my friend Ashish Khandare will welcome Siddharth Gaikwad. And Vikram? I request Vikram to welcome Dhananjay sir. We have a lot of special people here today, this evening. We have Devidas Gudeswar sahab. Everybody in Nagpur has heard about him. He's a very special man who translated all the Constituent Assembly debates into Marathi. And that's whopping 10 volumes. And he has done it single-handed. He was writing for 5 years. So we have a very special person here. Then we have a few influencers. We have a lot of great people. My friend Prashant is here. Rahul is here. All of your friends. Very warm welcome this evening. So as a way of introduction, I would just talk briefly about what is it for today. As we know that on this very day, in 1927, Baba Ambedkar marched towards the Mahad water tank, and the water of that prohibited to the people. People were treated like, worse than the animals. The animals, cats and dogs could drink the water from the water tank, but not the human beings. So, Gulza Tarakam, whose book is there for sale, he says that there is a Mahad happening at every village in this country. And the symbol of water stands for a very basic fundamental equality. That in the nature, there is nothing like discrimination. The water never judges the drinker as to who they are, where they come from, and what kind of background they come from. It never differentiates. There is nothing in the nature that differentiates between human beings. So water also, as it were, shows the fundamental unity of the human race. So 20th March 1927 was a very landmark day in the history, I would say, of the world. Because for the first time, thousands of people marched to have the basic right to water. And speaking about the same occasion, in 1940, there was a big festival, celebration in Mahad, on the very day, today, in 1940, and Dr. Baba Ambedkar described this day as the day of independence. मतलब जो दलित शोषित समाज है उनके लिए ये आज़ादी का दिन है, ऐसा बाबा साहब ने 1940 को जब इसका सेलिब्रेशन हो रहा था, so he described this day as an independence day, and he said that mere political freedom, mere political independence is not going to help our country. What we need is a social freedom. What we need is an economic freedom, and he goes at the very depth of the concept of freedom. And then he is somebody who sees through a lot of things and point to the right direction to his community. And that's in 1940. If he is declaring his day as a day of independence, we have to think very carefully about his intention as to what he meant by being free, by being liberated, by being emancipated. And we know that the battle proceeded, and we won the legal battle in the court. And this Mahad Satyagraha became a kind of a rallying point for mobilizing our people. In the same year, in 1927, there is another great man from the community of which we are born into. His name, we all know his name, Narayana Guru. And he was somebody who was very exceptional, I would say, being, who had this very fundamental insight into the reality. And that fundamental, insight into the reality qualifies him to be a bodhisattva. He was indeed a bodhisattva because life was not just involved into the speculative thoughts. He was somebody who was going out to his people, and the kind of ideas that he was experimenting that time, like the businesses and the charitable work, social work, but at the back of that, he had this very deep insight into the fundamental nature of reality, which Buddhism will define as Shunyata, of which you are going to listen more and more of those very important ideas. So, in the same year, in 1927, Guru left us in 1928. So before he left us in 1927, he was asked to install a deity in a temple. So last time Anish and I was there, Suraj was there with us, and we went to the temple. It's a very beautiful temple. And Guru said that there is no need to install a deity. Instead of that, you install a mirror. So we know, and I know one of his, we were talking to those people, and they were saying that Narayana Guru was very inspired by this idea of having a mirror, and he was inspired by Buddhism. He went to Sri Lanka 3 times, and I have seen his presence in Sri Lanka. So he went to Sri Lanka 3 times. He was very deeply, he even encouraged some of his followers to take ordination. We went to that Bihar, which is 100 years old, in Calicut. So we know about Guru, but we don't know about the kind of vision that he can bring to the community. And when we were thinking about these themes, we thought that it would be a very good idea to bring our people together. So we have with us, there will be a longer introduction, but I'm just, as duty, I am just going to spare a few words on these very special people we have today. Gopal Guru needs no introduction. He has been there as an intellectual stalwart of the communities. He's like a gadfly. He won't let you sleep. He will always attack on your ideas. He's somebody who is a very astute thinker. And the kind of, sometimes when I read his papers, I have to read it 2-3 times. I think myself to be a good reader, but when an average reader, but I find some of the ideas, the way he articulates, the kind of language he uses, the kind of terminology he uses, and kind of the way he shifts the very terms upside down. That's his specialty. So we are with us, a very special person here, and there is a connection with Narayan Guru. His father's name is Narayan. So his full name is Gopal Narayan Guru. Right? So he is like a descendant of that tradition. And we have a direct link with Guru here. We have our brother here, Dina, who doesn't like to be talked about him. But he's a very highly educated person, a very voracious reader. You talk to him for a few minutes and you realize that he has read very deep into a lot of things. But he will be very humble. He will say, let the Guru do his work. I won't do anything. But by saying that, he does a lot of things. And Dina is a person, wise man, you can see from, Dina is here. So, to agree to give a talk to the public is not that he likes. He likes to involve in the micro groups, smaller groups. But here, I was also surprised that when he accepted, I don't know what Anish might have done to push him to give a talk, but he agreed to give a talk today, and that's, I think, very special. So I think for these 2 distinguished speakers today, we can offer them a big welcome with claps. Now Anish is going to talk to you about the Backwaters Collective, which is one of the organizing body behind this event, Backwater Collective. Maybe he's going to tell you what is it all about. And then we have Town Value Trust and Panthers for Community. So 3 co-organizers. It's not all of you coming together to organize this event. So Anish is a very special man, and he has dabbled into businesses and so many areas, but his heart is into the community. They both aspire to see that how the enlightened community, इसको बाबा साहब ने प्रबुद्ध भारत बोला था, इस नाम से बोलते हुए इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है, लेकिन जो एनलाइटन इंडिया का जो कंसेप्ट है उसको लेके दोनों जो है चलते हैं. They cross all the barriers. They go to any forum and they invite any forum. They have no boundaries whatsoever. So Anish, my brother here, and he is somebody who is like an engine to drive this idea. And this is not one of the events. We are kickstarting here something today because it's a very special day, Mahad Satyagraha day, but it's not going to stop here. Till 2027, there will be events like this, maybe more events in Nagpur, to commemorate the centennial year of both these historical events, both these revolutionary events. So onwards up to 2027, we will have all these events happening all over the places, and we invite you all to join in this celebration of dignity and rights. Are you going to join? Yes. Very good. So, without much further ado, I would like to request Anish to speak a few words about what is Backwaters Collective all about, and a line of introduction of our dear friend Dinakar. Jai Hind.
So good evening all. Indeed, it's a special day, on 20th March. And as Mangesh said, if we can kickstart this journey towards 2027, nothing like that. And water and mirror is a concept that one cannot escape. But I am actually eager to listen to both Dina and Gopal, and I'm sure you all are. But I'm told to speak about Backwaters Collective. Now, Backwaters Collective is something that every time I think about it, I find it difficult to reflect on it. Because it keeps shape, it is a very abstract. It does not have, it is an abstract group of individuals who come together and go out. Like, for example, we are all here, and so we are backwaters. We are Backwaters Collective. And when we go home, we are not. So it is that kind of platform which gives us the freedom to do things, create, engage, think along. So we started somewhere in 2010 after the nasty civil war of Sri Lanka in Colombo. We were invited by an organization there called as Sri Narayana Guru Society of Sri Lanka, which is enshrined as an act of parliament actually. Because the government of Sri Lanka chose to incorporate their body as an act of parliament. We were surprised, and that is a kind of seriousness that they invested in the ideals of Guru, Narayana Guru, because of his work there. And we were invited to that organization, and they wanted it was a bloody civil war, you all know about it. They wanted to create a program or think about a platform where we could all, in some ways, ameliorate our, some ways heal collectively, and some of us found ourselves there. And that is where Backwaters Collective took shape. And since then, we have met in different places, mostly in Kochi. For a few occasions, we have met in Varkala. This collective has produced 3 books. A concert has come out of it. A concert on Narayana Guru performed by T.M. Krishna. So in short, this is that the collective is deeply inspired by Narayana Guru, Baba Sahib, they remain the thought process close to the collective. People like Ashish Nandi, you are Anandamurthy, Vinayla, Bobby Rajan, mostly academicians, but as we not like to introduce himself as an independent thinker, someone like me who does not belong to the academic framework of thinking, someone who is into brick and mortar is also part of it. It's a very open platform where people could participate and engage in producing a body of work. We have partnered with Kochi Vinale Foundation, which is, if you know about it, it is based out of Kochi, and it is the only biennial which happens in Kochi, in India. So we have these aesthetic partnerships, creative partnerships. We engage with artists, singers, so on and so forth, to produce original works. But we are not registered as an organization. We don't have a presence anywhere, and we like to forget about it the moment we get out of that space. So we enjoy the impermanence as much as all of you do. So that's about Narcotics Collective. I think Mangesh has already introduced Dinakaran. I know him for more than a decade now. He's been part of the collective. He's been in the soul of the collective in many ways, and he has spent more than 3 decades with a seminal scientific organization which is called BARC, and that part of life he's retired now, but he's here. He is going to talk to us on the mirror aspect of this theme today, and we look forward to hearing from both of them. Thank you.
May I now invite talk too much.
Continue.
I always think that the success of a program is when you put extra chairs to accommodate people. So our program is already very successful. That's a big achievement because some subject as abstract as this can motivate people to come on a weekday evening and come over with eagerness on their face and search for knowledge is reflection on their face, and nothing can be greater for a speaker to see and to begin his speech with. Now, 96, how many years back? 96 years back, on this day, a great event happened in Mahad, and we are all assembled because of that event. That event has pulled all of us 96 years later to this one point in the middle of the country to talk about it, to celebrate it. And we should also remember that this is a very important geological day for the Earth, because the equinox is passing through this today, tonight and tomorrow. It is the Persian New Year, they call it Navroz, the new year, the new day, you can say. So, Navroz Mubarak to all of you. And I think it's a metaphysical coincidence that there's such a wonderful event in Mahad happened 96 years back to start a renewal of human spirit and a renewal of human will. And Baba Sahib and all the revolutionaries of that time, we have to be indebted to. So let us clap for that event. I would like to thank my friend Mangesh, whom I met coincidentally in one meeting in Calicut. And with that, he energized himself to organize something like this, where we could bring on the same platform two great souls of the Satyagraha village, one is Narayana Guru, the other is Baba Sahib. And I thank him once again from the depth of my heart, and I hope that youngsters like him and his friends all here would take this whole project towards to the next century by creating the fertile ground for a renewal, for a new year after year after year. The importance of mirror and water is something which I will be talking in the course of my presentation today. But it's also important to know that these are all not just materialistic objects. These are a lot of metaphysical value behind it. and more people come. So basically, we believe that these are not pure words, two simple words for what is there. They reflect so much of depth and meaning, and which has created a kind of a philosophical depth to the struggles which have accompanied these two symbols. We know about the Mahad Satyagraha and the importance of water and that, but I will be more concentrating on why mirror is a philosophical concept which had energized another section of the underprivileged in another part of the subcontinent for the same time. So to come to this, we have to know a little bit about Guru. Guru actually lived from 1855 to 1928, a period in which so many things were happening in the world. When Guru was just about 6 years old, the American Civil War happened. The American Civil War had a huge impact on the Indian economy because of the disruption in the supply of oil goods, oil seeds from America to Britain. The soap factories of Britain wanted new oil seeds from other parts of the colonial empire. So they started developing new seeds like coconut as cash crops. And the whole west coast became a kind of experimental laboratory for the cultivation of coconut. And this had caught a lot of traction in the southern provinces of the west coast. And because of that, economic changes happened in the old state of Travancore, Malabar, Cochin, etc. And a new class of entrepreneurs who were farmers started becoming affluent, and they emerged from the hopeless condition in which they were living into modern traders and entrepreneurs. It is in this context that the Guru was growing up, and Guru also had the kind of advantage of getting some traditional education in Sanskrit and Ayurveda. And he mobilized his knowledge in order to understand the truth of reality. He went and tried to meditate, get into Shaiva traditional mutts to learn the due process of meditation and other things. And he had his own kind of enlightenment in the process. And he came back to the world like a Bodhisattva. Instead of sitting in the Nirvana state, he renounced that and came back to the people who were suffering and started teaching them about the basic necessity of freedom and self-instruction. And it was in 1888 that he created a great event, like the Mahad event, which is associated with the water. He went to a place near Trivandrum called Ambedkar. Ambedkar literally means on the side of the river. And there in the jungle, on a Shivratri night, he went into the water of the river, dipped into the water, immersed himself into the water for many minutes, then came out with a rock and came and installed that as an installation. Because at that time, most of the people were not allowed to enter the temples run by the priestly classes. He said this temple is open to all. And this was a big revolutionary decision because at that time, only the people were privileged to Eastern deities were allowed to do these things, and anyone else would have been punished for such a sacrilegious act. But Guru, because of the new energetic environment which was coming out of the new economic revival in the West Coast, he had also the support of the British resident who was living in Trivandrum, because the British Empire had a kind of suzerainty over the local Maharaja. So beyond a level, the Rajas could implement the Varnashrama Dharma principles to stop a man who was so enlightened and learned in doing his own installation of the temple. So what happened is, in this one act, he removed the uniqueness of installation as a privileged act and said anyone can worship any idol installed by any person because all humans are one. This created a kind of reverberation all over the communities. It was not that the other communities were very well off. Every community, the Shudras, the Kshatriyas, the Brahmins, the middle were poor. But all of them knew that you can't go along with the old kind of style of living. You got to create communities. So all small castes started coalescing into different communities. They created their own organizations. They started pooling money. They created schools and then later colleges. And all these castes became communities, and the communities became enlightened to some level. And then these old traditional untouchabilities and other kind of activities started depleting. And this is one of the reasons why Kerala always had a kind of progressive politics. And it is because of this that Guru could act with much more freedom than many other social reformers of that period. Because one event in one community created reverberations in every other community, and all of them got enlightened in different states of enlightenment. So it is here that the Guru's importance comes from the mirror installation. So though he had done lots of installations before that on the request of the people who wanted to install different temples, by about 1925 or 26 he started saying this is of no use. We are becoming too ritualistic, we don't need more temples, we need more schools. So he said that I am going to stop installing temples, but the few promises I have given for the few people to be installed, I will continue. So in that sense that in 1927 he was invited to install a deity in one place in near Alpi. And at that point of time he decided that instead of a deity he will install a mirror. And here the importance of the mirror has to be understood. The mirror, what it does is, it allows you to see yourself. When you look at the mirror, you are looking at basically the self. You think it's you. When you are combing your hair, you are looking at myself. Though my left hand and right hand gets juxtaposed. That doesn't matter. We believe it's the self. The Guru also, without telling openly, had also hinted the fact that what you see in the mirror is your non-self. Your self is here, but the image is your non-self. So what is the self and what is the non-self had been the age-long controversy in Indian philosophical systems, where Buddha had put himself on the side of non-self, and the Brahminical systems of philosophies were all rooting for the self. And there was a great debate going on between these two philosophies all through the first century AD to the about 10th century to 12th century AD. And this time, Guru was basically bringing this whole polarity between the self and the non-self in this one mirror. And this mirror has got an image, that image has got a self. Which is self, which is non-self is a question which he has to, the viewer, the analyzer will have to solve it himself. And that is where the metaphysical contradictions or dialectical process starts with the mirror. So when somebody goes to a temple and sees a mirror and sees his own image there, they are talking in a Vedantic sense that it is your own self, which is eternal, which is immutable. You can always say that your own eternal self is not self, it is actually non-self. It keeps on moving. It's that point that Guru comes one with the Buddha. So Lord Buddha himself was the first philosopher in India who created the concept of non-self, and the fact that we are not having any basic substratum to stand on, but we are only a network of all souls which keeps on rising and which keeps on diminishing. This is what the concept of Pradipta Samulpada is. Pradipta Samulpada essentially means that the whole thing is an appearance, but it is there when it is there. But when you inquire into it, you find that everything is empty. The emptiness emerges out of the network of dependent relationships. But the dependent relationship should not be confused as something stable. It emerges, it sets, and when it sets, it's emptiness. The emptiness is form is emptiness. This is the essential, basic theory, doctrine of Lord Buddha. And in a way, Guru was trying to tell people in a silent way, this is the truth. The truth is not the Vedantic Brahman. The truth is basically the interaction between the appearance, the form, and emptiness. Emptiness and form. That's why in the famous Prajna Paramita Sutra, it is written, it is said that Panjas Kavita Samasta Subhava Shunyam Ashwati Soha. Because the four skandhas, when you inquire into each one of them, whether it is Rupam, Vedana, Prajna, Samskara, Nirvana, everything becomes finally Shunya. And when you know it is Shunya, it opens up absolute possibilities. Because only in a space of Shunya, change can happen. And change essentially is the nature of reality. We all believe that we are all stable here, sitting here. Absolutely stable, nothing is moving. But we are moving at about 0.5 kilometers per second across the axis of the earth. It's rotating at 0.5 kilometers per second. Can you imagine? We do that. And we are moving and revolving about 30 kilometers per second. We are moving across the sun at every moment. Two movements are going totally in contradiction to each other, and we feel we are stable. And Buddha knew it, Guru knew it, Baba Sahib Ambedkar knew it. That's why he was so calm in the middle of all kinds of struggles he was facing, because he knew all will change. You don't have to be desperate about stasis, because everything is dynamic, everything is dialectical. It is a dialectical concept that again Lord Buddha brought in, which was lying absolutely unmentioned in the old classical texts. But it was again brought up because of this concept of shunyata and form. This is shunyata. The dialectical process between the appearance and the reality is what the original dialectical methodology is all about. Hegel brought it in a different form in Europe, and you can see how it changed the whole European society. But in India, we don't talk about dialectics when we talk about Lord Buddha. We don't talk about dialectics when we talk about Narayana. We don't talk about dialectics when we talk about the Indian system. It is very much an Indian concept. Fortunately, a lot of work is going on in China. China gives a lot of importance to Buddhism, and particularly the dialectical part of Buddhism, because they are also Chinese. But in India, we hardly do it. How many of our people work on this dialectical process behavior in Indian philosophy, particularly Buddhist philosophy? In fact, there is a beautiful book which has been suppressed all over India. It may be there in a library, called by one man called T.R.V. Murthy, who has written The Central Philosophy of Buddhism. I suggest all youngsters to buy one copy and keep it and keep reading and understand it. That tells exactly where the central philosophy of Buddha is. And the central philosophy of Buddha, in fact, is the central philosophy of Indian philosophy. Because that is exactly what he means by that. Without that, there would have been no Advaita. There would have been no Shankara. There would have been no Vedanta. All that emerges from the contradiction as delineated by Lord Buddha in the central philosophy of Indian philosophy. So the meaning of mirror, it's got real is there, the shadow is there. The mirror is reflecting the self, and it also is pointing towards the non-self. And this is where the Guru becomes as much a Buddhist as a Shaivite or a Tantric or so many labels he has been given to him. Because he was a man who has realized he could play whichever role he wanted to do. People used to come to discuss Quran with him, and he will discuss with them. Bible with him, he will discuss with them. Because once you break out of your narrow labels, your sajnas, you can't say that I am Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Shaivite, I am Mahayana, I am Hinayana, nothing like that. You know? Talking reality. And each reality has got its own kind of network. And that network we have to talk about that emphasis. We are not going to alienate people by saying, no, I believe only in this philosophy, so I can't discuss it. So he's also learning in the process. He used to say that you have to not argue and win, but you have to know and let know. That's the whole purpose of organization. It is not discussions are for to knowing and let knowing, not to argue and win. Because all of us know what right philosophy is the best, no philosophy is not. This is not the way one has to do philosophical studies. So metaphysics, as we call philosophy, because philosophy has got its own kind of academic flavor, so we call it metaphysics. And metaphysics has got both the reality and the super reality, where we can talk about your meditational aspects, we can also talk about the reality of life. And it is this that the mirror comes to such an importance in 1927. And even today we are talking 96 years later about it. Maybe as my friend Mangesh said, we will be taking this forward and having a series of discussions on that. Maybe we will create a new knowledge out of it. The problem with India today is for the last about 50 to 60 years, no new philosophy, no new knowledge is being created. You only talk about the great past, what about the great present? Why can't we create a great present? So we have to create a, that's why we call it the emergence of the new, we call it. So when we organize a musical concert, we say it's the philosophy of the emergence of the new. It's the metaphysics of the emergence of the new. We have to create, when we have an art festival, we will have the aesthetics of the emergence of the new. So we have to create a new, and in that all aspects have to come, whether it is metaphysics, poetry, or aesthetics. So in this sense, I would say that the mirror and water are analogous, both reflects accurately, both reflects in a distorted way. It's up to our mind to find the clarity, what is right and what is wrong. It is where, here again, what Lord Buddha told us, to create the clarity of the mind using the Panchashilas and the Ashtanga Marga and everything. So, as a basic introduction, I don't want to load too much of information now. We can have a discussion later. And I am very thankful to all of you, and I am very thankful to the rapt attention with which you were listening. But I was not talking simple things. I am very happy that you people are really particularly the young men and women who are here, are the people who have to take and create a new metaphysics for our society and energize our people and get them out into the enlightened field from the darkness they are passing through. Thank you very much.
Dina has a very special sort of quality to communicate a lot of complex things. It's not easy to talk about the mirrors. But the mirror as a theme has been running there since the Buddha has, or brother Dina was saying here. And there is, of course, there is one sutta where the Buddha exactly teaches his son as to how he should behave. We should behave as if we are looking at the mirror. And then Baba Buddha has given a very special word for that. Pacha Vikkhana. You behave, you act with your body, mind and speech by reflection. So this theme of reflection, all the way goes from the Buddha and it goes to Dewey and Baba Ambedkar. There is a thinking process called the reflective thinking. And in the Buddha and Dhamma we will find the mention of the sutta and the very vague Pacha Vikkhana itself. So the theme of mirror as a kind of reality, as something relational, as as opposed to having something fundamentally something essential out there, but the reality as a relational reality, reflecting back and forth. So Dagar had put this very beautifully, and I think it's very important that Dina coming here and talking to us, having the background of the Narayan Guru's movement. So without taking much time, again I'm going to invite Jagdish to introduce the next speaker, Narayan Guru, Gopal Guru.
One line
A few lines only, okay, not a page. Yeah, because people can Google that anytime. Yeah, so good afternoon to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, respected dignitaries on the dais. Today I stand here to introduce today's keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Gopal Narayan Guru. As he needs no introduction, as Mangesh Bhau said, but as a formality of this particular function, let me have this privilege and honor to introduce such a great personality in the field of social science, who contributed to his writings and scholarship for the upliftment of the oppressed class of this society. Gopal Narayan Guru is an Indian social political scientist. Sir is born in the small town of the Akot in the Akola district of the state of Maharashtra. He has completed his graduation from Aurangabad and then moved to Delhi for higher studies. And then he started teaching at Delhi University, Pune University, and then he joined JNU as a professor at Center for Political Studies
Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He was also the editor of very renowned journal, that is Economic and Political Weekly, which is very reputed journal. He was also a visiting professor at Columbia University, Oxford University, University of Philadelphia, and other universities. He is influenced by the writings of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and Narayan Guru. He is a very prominent figure in the Indian academia. So his scholarship is reflected through his writings. I will just name few. That he has written on Dalit women can talk differently. The title of the book is Dalit Women Talk Differently. Then Crisis of Multiculturalism. Humiliation is very popular book of him. And then Cracked Mirror. It is also one of the reputed book. He has received many awards like Ambedkar Centenary Award, Rajiv Gandhi Award, then Dr. Ambedkar National Award, K.K. Chakraborty Award. So, sir, I have just summarized this out of your all that introduction which is available on Google. Everyone can Google it. Though you have retired as a professor but never retired as a social scientist or a person from movement. Welcome you, sir. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
I must take this opportunity to thank Mangesh and Jagdish and my friends Dina and Anish. Dina and Anish make my life so comfortable. So special thanks to that, special care you take about me. I'm not aging, but I require some special care. And Mangesh and Jagdish said so many good words about me, and I must really thank you for that. I've been planning to come to Nagpur for a very, very long time, but I have not come to this place. I'm coming for the first time. It's a huge, palatial, majestic building, and thanks to Diversity for making such a wonderful building. I am under damn interest. What I do, I come to Diksha Bhumi and go away. So I don't see any other part of Nagpur. And that is my limitation. Because I get myself so much engrossed into my own self when I see Diksha Bhumi. So that's a special denotes what metaphysical quality that Diksha Bhumi has. Normally you don't really realize the metaphysics of it. But we'll talk about this metaphysics some other time. I am very thankful to you for having come, and it's almost 8:15. You are still wanting to listen to me, and thank you for that presence of yours. Dina has dealt with a very, very important aspect as to how the philosophy of Buddhism has actually influenced both Sri Narayana Guru and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. And the word metaphysics he was using is important. So why do you want to use this word? What is this word? What is meta about it? Metaphysical. Meta ideas which are not related to physics, they are over and above physics, body, they are meta. Now, water and mirror are basically about body. They are basically about body. You don't, like a selfie निघाने के लिए वक्त आता इतना अपना self develop झालेला आहे की you just don't, you are so impatient to see your own image being reflected. That is the way we look at mirror. Cell phone is a mirror. But you know, as Dina was saying, that there is something beyond this body, physical. And that, what is that beyond our body is important. And this I will talk in a minute, but let me also share with you, why do we want to talk together with Babasaheb Ambedkar and Sri Narayana Guru? What is the connection between the two of them? One connection Dina has established that because both of them draw from Buddhism, Shunyata of Nagarjuna. The big debate. And we can talk about it later on in a smaller group maybe. Later on, Mangesh, please invite us. So, this connection is so important. And I special thank you, Mangesh, for having made it possible to talk about these two great thinkers of this country. So, normally in Nagpur, we have special kind of organized programs happening. And I was talking to Jagdish, it's a great feeling that I have come to speak about Sri Narayan Guru and Baba Ambedkar. So there are two things I would like to share with you, and particularly with my young friends who have come from a long way and showed their deep interest in understanding the deep ideas of both the thinkers. One is that, one is the tradition, which is a dissenting tradition. You dissent. Which is the dissenting tradition? Charvaka, Buddhism, down to Kabira, Phule, Narayana Guru, Bhimrao Ambedkar, Savitribai, all that big list. Dissenting. Dissenting means we disagree. We just don't agree with the expositive structure. That tradition is a tradition which is tradition of association. We associate. And the best example is Narayana Guru and Baba Sahib. They are associated with the tradition given by Lord Buddha, isn't it? Of course, in a new form, in a radical form, new Buddhism. You should also take into consideration that this tradition is not actually accommodated by Baba Sahib or Narayana Guru. There is a debate between Narayana Guru and Gandhi and Narayana Guru and Shankaracharya. How much has he influenced? So you are actually critically appropriating all those impulses, all those critical things, dissenting things from this thinker. That's a new Buddhism. It's not old Buddhism. Baba Sahib is rejecting Buddhism, which is not, some aspects of Buddhism which is not actually resonating with our own way of thinking and emancipating ourselves. So this is the tradition of association. That's how we have to associate ourselves with Sri Narayana Guru. Because both Baba Sahib and Guru share the same page. They are on the same page, so to say. They are on the same page in terms of emancipating the downtrodden, in terms of anti-caste activism. And we have no time, Dinan, we don't want to talk about it, but the way Narayana Guru actually launched the struggle against casteism is remarkable. And that's why they share the same page. They are on the same page, they share the same ground of emancipation. That's why we are actually belonging to same tradition of association. What is the tradition of dissociation? Young friends of mine will raise this question. They should raise this question very prominently and sincerely. In this hall or in the classroom, anywhere in the teaching classes. The Greek tradition is dissociating. That's to say, Plato is rejecting Socrates, and Plato is rejected in turn by Aristotle. So rejection, dissociation, but here association. And that's why we have these two photographs together, and we are there. And my invitation is the book, which is the displayed there, and where is there on the table. Nizar Ahmed is one of the finest philosophers of this country, living philosopher. Please read that book, which is displayed on the. You will get what Sri Narayan Guru is all about. Now, this is the first point I thought I should make. The second point, because it will actually attack your dogmatism. No, my Baba Sahib आमचे आहे, Baba Sahib कोण? पण Baba Sahebaंनी जो प्रश्न अडकलेला आहे, स्त्रिया, दलित, आदिवासी सगळे, त्याला कुठून तरी रिसोर्स पाहिजे असतो. स्वतःही निर्माण करतो. See, we should be like, and I'm just using that metaphor, like Narayan Guru. He was not educated in English, but he actually commanded Sanskrit, English, Sanskrit, Malayalam and Tamil. Baba said, so you you have little support from outside. As the intellectual history of Baba Sahib suggests, काय ठेवलं संस्कृत वाचता येत नव्हतं वगैरे. And therefore, this word called intuition. आणि तुम्हाला एक उदाहरण दिलं, स्पायडर असतं ना, स्पायडर. From where does he get his energy? From where does he get his energy? बाहेरनं पुस्तकात मिळवते का एनर्जी किंवा आकाशात नाही येते, तो असा करतो ना स्पायडरमॅन. So the energy is already there inside. You have to actually reflect it. जाळं तयार करायचं. And that, I think this is the जाळं we have to view. If somebody is not supporting, you must do this Spider-Man business. Isn't it? How many of you can do that? आपल्याला कोणी शिकवत नाही, कोणी म्हणजे गरज कारण नाही. पण I think you are charged. I am happy that you are charged. मला प्रश्न पडले पाहिजे इंडिपेंडंटली, आणि ते प्रश्नाला जास्त एज देण्यासाठी बाबासाहेबांची पुस्तकं वाचली पाहिजे, नारायण गुरुंची पुस्तकं वाचली, त्या शार्पने तुम्ही आर्ग्युमेंटला. Therefore, I would say that these emancipatory ideas first happened in Kerala 1855 to 1928 and in Maharashtra 1891 to 56. And mind you, नारायण गुरु and बाबासाहेब have never met physically. भेटले नाहीत कधीच, पण दोघांमध्ये संवाद. And we know in खैगोंडेच्या ग्रंथांमध्ये याच्या संदर्भात संदर्भ आहे. नारायण गुरु कोण होते, काय सगळे डिटेल्स त्याच्यामध्ये रेफरन्सेस आहेत. Our Baba Sahib was aware about this movement, Dalit movement, कोणती तरी म्हणून म्हणत तुम्ही, was aware about it, and therefore you find references. Around 20 मार्च 1927 साली सगळं घडत असतं, जेव्हा महाराष्ट्र सत्याग्रह आपण करतो. So you should expand your horizon, see whatever, wherever emancipatory ideas are floating and they resonate with the basic tenets of Buddhism, Sri Narayan Guru and Baba Sahib, you must catch them. Ideas पुस्तकात नसतात, त्या हवेत असतात, अशा पकडायला लागतात त्या, with your antenna. आपला अँटिना पाहिजे, नाही तर 2 minutes मॅगी मुळे अँटिना तयार होत नाही असं बघते. नो दॅट्स बॅड वे ऑफ वाचण्याची सुद्धा एक कला आहे, का कल्चर आहे. यू मस्ट ऑलवेज डू हॉरिझॉन्टली, नॉट व्हर्टिकली. पण सेल फोनमुळे आपण सो इम्पेशंट इनसाइड स्पायडरमॅन कसा तयार होत नाही, काय कसा होतो. दिस इज द सेकंड पॉइंट आय वुड लाईक टू. Now point 3 and then 4. Maybe I'll speak a little bit about mirror. Let's talk about Mahad Satyagraha. Metaphysics का आहे? पाण्याचं metaphysics काय? Why it is metaphysics? Water is a natural resource. It's one of the important ingredients to actually survive the organic body. त्याच्याशिवाय आपण जगत नाही. And somebody I think Anish was saying that 70% water in body, 70% water in the earth, 70% आहे. But how badly we treat water? Environmentalismचा प्रश्न आहे, त्याच्यावर वेगळा आपण बोलतो. Isn't it? So water becomes a problem in India. Why? Sri Narayan Guru says, and his own, and you mentioned that, the water which is stored in the tank in the temple is not a good water, and it is saturated, stored there. It doesn't, it's not flowing, it doesn't flow. So it's only the flowing water that has the quality of actually redumping your diseases, clearing your diseases. म्हणजे वाहतं पाणी जर आपण त्याचं आंघोळ केली किंवा काय केलं तर तुमचं रोगापासून मुक्ती तुम्ही लांब राहता. दॅट्स हिज. आणि ही ॲक्च्युअली फोकस मोर ऑन स्वच्छता. आता म्हणतात लोक स्वच्छ भारत बघाय, पण ते तेव्हा त्याने केलं. बुद्धिझम इज बेसिकली अबाउट स्वच्छता, सगळं आहे त्याच्यामध्ये आपण. बट दॅन वॉटर व्हाय इट बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लेम? इट बिकम्स अ प्रॉब्लेम बिकॉज इट स्टोर. आणि मी असं म्हणेन, याच्यावरती डिबेट होऊ शकते, यू कॅन डिबेट ऑन दिस पॉईंट, that is only the stored confined water that has a potential to produce untouchability. Untouchability कशामुळे निर्माण होते? The water which is stored in the tank, soda tank, several tanks in Chakwara tank in Rajasthan, same time. In Chhattisgarh, in Kerala, Karnataka, is the stored water that has the potential source of producing ritual purity and pollution, untouchability. If it is a flowing water, do you face untouchability? Is the question. Water stored in the pot, बाबा साहेब पीत होते पाणी भांड्यात पाणी पीत होते, लात मारली, पिऊ नकोस म्हणून. Stored. Water stored in the नाळात जे पाणी येतं, untouchability. Whenever water is actually confined to a narrow contours, it has a devious, pernicious tendency to produce untouchability. So, I'm sorry, somebody's phone is ringing. So, this is something which is so central to the concept of water. So, you are actually putting more meaning on this water. First meaning is that it is natural and it's a human rights. I must drink water, otherwise I will die. This is a basic need. But that is not enough. Our caste system does not believe in this. It actually adds more meaning to the water. Therefore, you must take water with right hand or left hand. All those divisions are there. आपल्याकडे डाव्या हाताने पाणी दिलं ना तर लोक म्हणतात माझा अपमान केला. Very subtle असतं सगळं. So you are actually adding more meanings to water, and that meaning is therefore metaphysical. It's not simply physical. It's not a physical water body that is lying there. But on the river, you might say, Dalits are not actually allowed to draw water. Dalits शब्द वापरतो मी. Is it correct in Nagpur? But even though it's incorrect, I will use it. So, the water which is flowing, and Dalits are not allowed to take the water from the origin of the water source at the tail end. Because the water comes from there on the top, and if Dalits are actually taking water, the rest of the water will get polluted. That's the idea. But by and large, you can say that flowing water is not problematic, as problematic as the stored water. So that is why, and that's why the whole struggle of Baba Sahib is about the stored water. Now you can, Dalits can fight for water which is flowing for city pani paije vagare vagare. That is a different struggle altogether. It's not the untouchable, it's a dominant struggle. So that's one way of looking, adding meaning. That's why it becomes more than what is given meaning, physical. And Baba Sahib Ambedkar and Sri Narayana Guru are actually excavating or detecting that extra meaning. This is the first. That is why should we celebrate 20th of March 1927? What is the intellectual metaphysical significance to us, along with Sri Narayana Guru? Is that, Baba Sahib has developed this extra theory about it. It's not simply mere pathological description of आम्हाला पाणी मिळत नाही, आमच्यावरती अन्याय झाला वगैरे. Okay? But ज्याच्यामुळे संपूर्ण तुमची कुंडली बांधल्या गेलेली आहे, आयडियोलॉजी बांधल्या गेलेली आहे, you must go into that deepness. And that is our work as intellectuals. And therefore, Mangesh, hereafter your job is to really create intellectual community of intellectuals.
Yes, sir.
And Nagpur should be the center of this community of intellectuals.
Yes, sir.
Intellectuals आजकाल कोणी सिरियसली घेत नाही. शोभांतिक आहे, म्हणजे बाबासाहेबांनी अनेकदा लिहून ठेवलं की काय तुमचं पॉलिटिक्स काय, त्याच्यामध्ये काही दम आहे का, असं बाबासाहेबांनी सांगितलं. आजकाल कोण वाचतं नाही करणार. So this is additional meaning you must really find out which is there. Second point about Mahad Satyagraha. बाबासाहेबांनी कसं बिल्डअप केलं मेटाफिजिक्स. Second point. What is this? What kind of concept that the Mahad Satyagraha has produced for us? कुठल्या पद्धतीची संकल्पना आपल्या पुढे दिली ज्याच्यावरती आपण अभ्यास करतो. सोशल जस्टिस आहे, इक्वालिटी सोशल जस्टिस आहे. It is for the first time that Babasaheb Ambedkar gave real life to this concept. Otherwise, concepts are actually metaphysical in the sense they are in the books and they are available only for the pedagogy.